So ever since I was a kid, I was into science fiction. Star Wars, Star Trek, all kinds of science fiction novels, comic books, and those stories from afar. And as a Star Trek fan, I looked up to that guy named Spock. I always thought there was something more to him than, there was more than met the eye to that guy. And I remember the episodes where he would practice the Vulcan mind meld. Now, don't worry if you're not a Star Trek fan or you don't know anything about Spock, don't worry about it. But let me talk about what it means to me in reading. What you've seen me do so far with the book that I'm experimenting with, what you're doing with the book that you're experimenting with, is you are getting inside the mind of the author. You aren't just reading page after page, word after word from someone out there. No, you're getting on the same level of her or him. You're understanding how she or he thinks, the way they look at the world, the way that they want to present information to you. And every author will really be, I use the word vulnerable, they're really going to open themselves up to you as a reader if you want. Now, later in this course, I'll share with you other ways that you can get inside the mind of the author. But what I think is really important when we're about to start the third reading of the book, which, by the way, this will be the third longest reading session. When you get into this third reading session, you're really going to be given the opportunity to sit down side by side with that author. It's fascinating. If I look back on my days of reading and I compare them to today, in the old days, reading a book was just words on a page, and yes, I got to escape, I got to go away to another place. But I never wondered where the author came from. I never wondered why the author wrote the way or the topic that they wrote or wrote about. Today, it's one of the first things that I want to find out. Who is this person? Where do they live? What did they do? How did they become the author that they are? How did they become the one that wrote a book that sold more than 1 million copies of? Or how did they become the one that wrote a book that I'd never heard about before, but I found in a used bookshop? Who is this person? And you're getting inside their mind. And I've already given you several techniques of how to do that. From reading the back cover to the inside flaps, to taking a look at the index, to looking at how they framed the book, how they served up that information. So you might want to click pause, open up your notebook to a brand new page, write the author's name down up on top of that page. So the way that I'll do this is I'll often just start another mind map, and I'll put the author's name there in the middle. And what I'll do is I'll spend just a little bit of time before I start the third reading session writing down a couple things that I already think about this guy. I know Keller loves to ask questions. I know Keller loves to make lists. He quoted Bronnie Ware, so I know he has some sense into that sensitive topic of death and dying. What else? Oh, he's in real estate, of course, because we've got his real estate signs all over town. Essentially, what I'm doing is I'm mind melding with this person. So the third time I sit down to learn from the author, and by the way, you're going to note in the next section of this course, it isn't just the book that I'm going to look at to learn about the author, but I'm going to open up that vision. I'm going to open up that door to learn even more about and with the person that wrote that book.